Oh, sorry. Doo-doo-doo. Setting this up. I need to get that little thing behind it. Yay! When I got into raw foods, I was... Sorry, it's setting this up still. I wanted to give this like a Dan the Man style title because I thought that'd be funny, but when I look back to what was the reason I went raw, because you need to have quite a big reason. You know, most people that either were sick or they wanted to perform better at sports or whatever it was. But whatever it was, as soon as you try it out, you get suckered into it because you feel good and you just can't deny feeling good, you know, or I feel better. You know, you just want to keep on following that and working it out. But if I think about the real turning point for me, or why I started to gravitate into this, in a weird way, it wasn't really physical health or illness, because I was quite actually healthy, or in a sense, and it wasn't really sports performance or other things like that. It was sort of in a weird way, because I was on this like spiritual path, and I think I really had this almost a delusion that if I went on raw foods, I would have this amazing awakening, like spiritual awakening. So my background in terms of spiritual life or whatever, that probably for about, since I was in my late teens, not only had I been trying to change, I'd been trying to change or making changes to diet and experimenting with dietary changes, and also starting to experiment with like meditation and spiritual techniques and stuff, because I wasn't feeling that good in my late teens, and I was feeling pretty low on energy a lot of the time. I'd completely lost any fitness I had as a child, probably because I just sort of stopped exercising. When I started getting really into music and getting really serious in like teenager, and got a bit depressed and stuff, and started to eat worse and wasn't exercising as much, and then I was in uni and I wasn't doing that well in uni, so nothing was really working out at that time. And then started to think that, you know, maybe meditation held a kind of key of how to change and how to feel better, and changing diet as well. And the first thing I changed was sugar, which I was really addicted to and all that, and then so I worked at cutting that out. And so it was just sugar, it was still a standard diet, and that kind of started to work, started to feel better, started to change a lot, become more confident, and that was through starting to meditate and changing diet and just being aware of these things. And I guess I'd always been interested in making health changes, you know, taking care of myself. That kind of made sense, to avoid alcohol, to avoid drugs and things, you know, didn't see, it was common sense to me. And then got seriously into the meditation, was really into it, and I was I'd maybe been doing it 4 years or something, every day, and I felt like, I kept on feeling like I'd hit this barrier and I wasn't getting any further, and I wanted something bigger to happen and wanted to reach the next level. And I remember I would go to classes, and one of the reasons I went vegetarian was because I was going to this psychic development group, and the teachers in that were mediums. Like, a medium is someone that communicates with spirits, you know. So that may be a bit far out for you, but that's that's what I was into, and I'm kind of still into that in a way. But try and make this short. Yeah, when I joined that class, they said, well, you may find you might go vegetarian if you develop spiritually. And I'd always kind of thought I might end up going vegetarian at some point, but I never really had made a commitment to it. And then gradually with that, when I was in that class and so, I did start to think about it more and more, and they were probably directly influential in me eventually deciding to go vegetarian. Although it was still my own choice, it's my own experiment with it. So I had this kind of vague connection there, that not only was like food connected with health, but it was also connected with like spirituality and you know, your spiritual state. So when I got to the raw foods thing, it seemed to make sense that that might be the case as well. So that really kind of inspired me to keep pushing at it at first. That was maybe my first little thing. But then when I got more into it, it was like it just made sense. The health benefits, the mental benefits, the confidence, everything that I was getting from it just made me want to keep doing it. And actually, in a weird way, I was feeling so good, and I kind of started to neglect the meditation and other things, because I thought, well, really it was just the food that was the problem, and now I don't need to do everything else. So my meditation kind of fell aside for a while, and I regret that a bit. But definitely for that first year of raw, or definitely sort of first 6 months, I was putting like so much energy into just staying raw and going raw, and I still do now. I still learn about it, but maybe not as intense, because I'm more settled in it, and I let things slide a bit. So, but I do realise now that I feel my absolute best if I've been meditating daily, you know, as well as the raw foods. So although I don't think it's led me to spiritual enlightenment or anything, it has led me to a completely different viewpoint of life, completely different viewpoint of humanity, of the planet, of all our different instincts. Everything makes sense to me now, to think we're frugivore, you know, frugivorous, and to fully accept that, and to fully accept that we should be living in in the trees somewhere. You know, all of it kind of makes complete sense. Living in nature and trees, and living off fruit and vegetables and stuff. And I've had some kind of mini spiritual experiences from eating fruit, you know. And I've spoke to people about this, like I spoke to Grant Campbell, I spoke to Ted Carson, various people who like agree, and you go like, you know, there's just sometimes you have a meal of, you just have some kind of amazing fruit that you find somewhere. For me, it was like it happened in Thailand. I know I made a video saying, "Oh, the fruit in Thailand's not as good as people make out," but it is. I mean, it is good, you know. But it's still just fruit. It's not like magic super fruit. It's still fruit. It's fruit. It tastes like fruit. But I had these mangoes in Thailand, and they completely blew my mind and made me change. They were like salty mangoes. It was weird, sweet salty mangoes. I couldn't stop eating them, and I remember we'd been in the park hanging out, and then I was cycling back, and as I was cycling back to the hotel, it was just like my mind was just turning with like thoughts. It was like this information had been fed to me about I don't know, like the mangoes had given me all this crazy information. Just everything was coming together in that moment. Like, yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, we need to get back to that connection with the spiritual fruits, but yeah, it's kind of made, but the diet's kind of made, I guess what I want to say to conclude, the diet's kind of made me more down to earth, more, it's not actually made me trippy and hippie and out there and weird. I feel that the people that are trippy and hippie and out there, if you go to like spiritual groups and conferences, all those people eat terribly, generally. They eat horribly. They're serving cakes and chocolate at the breaks, tea and caffeine and everything. Many of them are so overweight. They talk about healing all the time, healing and healing and healing, and sitting for healing and getting healing from spirit and getting healing from healing energies and healing, hands-on healing, and they're all sick as dogs, you know. They just completely don't want to, they want to pretend that, you know, because they're not really connected with their body, because they're eating this terrible diet. They want to escape it with this spiritual thing. And that to me, you know, the raw vegan, that just brought me right back to my body, you know. It's like, boom, like, you know, in your body, grounded. But I still have a spiritual side, but you know. Anyway, that's enough for now.